It was a bright, sunny afternoon when Jean-Pierre, a young Haitian American man, arrived in Santo Domingo. He was on vacation and excited to explore the rich cultural heritage of the Dominican Republic. With his passport secure in his backpack, he meandered through the vibrant streets, taking in the sounds, sights, and scents of the bustling capital. As he walked through the crowded alleys, the golden glint of his chain occasionally caught the sunlight, drawing attention from passers-by. As he explored a lively marketplace, Jean-Pierre felt a sudden tug on his neck. Confused and disoriented, he realized his gold chain had been forcefully snatched away. Stunned by the incident and the quick escape of the thief, he looked around, hoping someone might have noticed and would come to his aid. But the busy streets continued their rhythm undisturbed. He felt rising frustration from the apathy of those around him, but he was determined not to let this ruin his trip. Thinking logically, Jean-Pierre headed directly to the nearest police station to report the theft. However, upon entering the precinct, his American accent and fluent English were quickly overshadowed by the assumptions of his ancestry. The officers, swamped with their own biases, mistook him for just another undocumented Haitian crossing the border illegally. His appeals fell on deaf ears, as they decided to detain him instead. Trapped in a grim holding cell, Jean-Pierre was bewildered by the rapid shift in his circumstances. His repeated insistence on his nationality and legal presence in the country was systematically ignored. Instead of finding help, he was met with hostility and suspicion. Eventually, someone from the back office pulled his passport out of his backpack and verified his story. Word eventually reached the American consulate, but bureaucracy was slow-moving. Days passed before they managed to free him from his circumstance. Bruised emotionally and physically, Jean-Pierre's determination grew stronger, transforming outrage into resolve. As soon as he was released, he took legal action against both the Santo Domingo authorities and the inadequacy of the response from his own government. Jean-Pierre's story gained traction, inspiring international media attention and public outcry. It sparked debates surrounding racial profiling and cross-cultural understanding. As legal proceedings dragged on, revelations began to unfold that the very officer who accused him of being undocumented had his own questionable past linked to corruption and exploitation cases. This became a pivotal turning point in the trial. Finally, during the court hearing, a startling twist materialized. A letter from a mystery witness arrived, detailing inside knowledge of a scheme between local authorities and small-time criminals targeting tourists in disputed incidents. It turned out Jean-Pierre's complaint may have exposed a much larger issue than anyone initially anticipated. In a dramatic conclusion, the intertwined issues birthed a diplomatic push for stronger ties between the United States and Caribbean ministries, articulating policies that ensured stronger protection for travelers of Haitian descent. Jean-Pierre didn't just walk away with reparations awarded by both governments, but also with newfound purpose, becoming an advocate for racial justice and international awareness, helping to pave the way for a more just society. Following the shocking court revelations, Jean-Pierre found himself thrust into an unexpected role as a public figure. The media's spotlight, initially focused on the sensationalism of his story, gradually shifted toward larger systemic issues around racial profiling and unfair treatment that many Haitians and Haitian Americans experienced in both the Dominican Republic and abroad. He began receiving letters of support from people around the world who saw their own challenges reflected in his story. With renewed purpose, Jean-Pierre set out to use his platform for change. He partnered with human rights organizations and advocacy groups to raise awareness about the plight of marginalized communities, leveraging his personal narrative to illustrate the broader challenges faced by many. His story served as a powerful example of the dangerous implications of prejudice and the need for reform in both justice systems and international policies. In response to his advocacy, dialogues between the United States, Santo Domingo, and Haiti opened up, focusing on collaborative efforts to improve the perception and treatment of Haitians in the Dominican Republic. Joint initiatives were launched to dismantle stereotypes and improve intercultural dialogue, emphasizing shared history and mutual respect. As part of his advocacy work, Jean-Pierre traveled extensively, sharing his story at universities, conferences, and community centers. Each speech ended in standing ovations, as audiences connected deeply with his resilience and determination. Jean-Pierre's outreach efforts succeeded beyond the legal outcomes of his case, fostering tangible impacts on international relations and individual lives. Surprisingly, his case led to unexpected reforms within the Santo Domingo police force. Authorities, pressured by global attention and consistent legal challenges, implemented training programs aimed at reducing corruption and improving conduct with foreign nationals. These programs, initiated as a direct result of Jean-Pierre's perseverance, started reducing incidences of abuse and bias within the precincts. Moreover, Jean-Pierre's case spurred a wave of similar stories being brought to light, with victims now feeling empowered to speak up. Those once silenced by fear or disenfranchisement found courage in his journey, gradually changing the narrative surrounding Haitian identity in the Caribbean. Yet, amid his successes, the struggle for justice was relentless, often fraught with setbacks. Jean-Pierre lost patience, encountered hurdles, and at times doubted the impact of his advocacy. However, he drew hope and strength from the community that rallied behind him. They became a formidable network, supporting not just Jean-Pierre's cause, but fueling a broader movement advocating for fairness and dignity. In a moment of poignant reflection, Jean-Pierre visited the market in Santo Domingo, where his ordeal began. Standing alone where the vibrant hustle once surrounded him, he felt a sense of closure. It was here that his perspective, once clouded by fear and helplessness, had transformed into empowerment and conviction. Years later, the reforms influenced by Jean-Pierre's case were hailed as vital milestones in regional diplomacy, celebrated as journeys towards greater understanding and unity. Internationally recognized awards and speaking engagements followed, though Jean-Pierre remained grounded in his mission to initiate real, lasting change outside of accolades. By then, his story had become a symbol, one man's resilience sparking a movement, confronting bias, and advocating for those denied a voice. Jean-Pierre's journey emphasized that justice, long elusive, might be pursued vigorously when individuals are supported by community and cooperation is fostered between nations. The surprising twist to his legacy came when a groundbreaking documentary was released featuring Jean-Pierre. This documentary not only chronicled his story, but revealed passionate testimonies from previously silent voices affected by the socio-political landscapes he had tirelessly worked to change. In an unexpected development, the documentary led to educational programs being introduced in schools throughout the Americas, championing tolerance, empathy, and diplomacy. Jean-Pierre, once simply a tourist in the wrong place at the wrong time, became a facilitator for significant cross-border empathy and understanding. In the final moments of the documentary, updating viewers years after initial court rulings, Jean-Pierre is shown standing before a classroom of young students in New York City, encouraging open discussion and prompting a new generation to look beyond prejudice. His words resonated powerfully. Our identities do not bind us in chains, but rather, they should empower us to see the humanity in one another, beyond borders, beyond history. The classroom erupted in applause, now inspired by his journey. Jean-Pierre's twist in fate had led to a legacy of hope, when once it was a story of despair. Also, kindly subscribe to this channel for more informational topics, like this one. Thank you. From those dark days in Santo Domingo, Jean-Pierre emerged a symbol of the impact one voice can have. The broader societal changes that his personal ordeal helped catalyze were lasting, long after the media frenzy subsided. He captured a surprising truth. For true justice and equality to prevail, Courage must meet humanity at a crossroads, and one person's fight can inspire a world ready for change.